This is the action research for Ashley Ferraro. I'm a Master of Instruction, Teaching, and Learning. Let's perform a lab experiment. You're going to choose which lab you would like to perform, the traditional lab or the gizmo lab. You must follow the steps in order to perform the measurement. You will only have 45 minutes to complete this activity. All materials will be provided at the teacher's expense. The first one we're going to look at is a traditional lab. Your procedure will be organize all of your materials, collect all of the materials, designate roles for everyone in the group, determine which fertilizer or compost will go into the pot, and remember you may not handle any of these hazardous materials. You're going to choose a seed, either tomato, bean, or turnip. You're going to determine and measure the amount of water and sunlight that your plant needs in order to grow. You need to wait for the plant to actually grow, measure the growth, and look at the data in a graph. You must repeat your trial multiple times, and you only have 45 minutes, so remember that. The second lab is a gizmo lab. You will log on to Explore Learning, find your assigned class period, go to Growing Plants Gizmo, determine which fertilizer or compost will go into the pot, choose the seed, tomato, bean, or turnip, to determine and measure out the amount of water and sunlight your plant will need, wait for the plant to grow, measure the growth, look at the data in the graph, and repeat multiple trials. Remember, you only have 45 minutes to complete this lab. So with gizmos, students will launch the lab. You can put it in presentation mode. You then have your tomato, bean, turnip, compost, and fertilizer. You choose what goes where. Students may manipulate any supply that they want to see which works best. And then they observe over multiple days what would happen to the plant. As the days continue, it shows A, B, C. So they have 3 different trials at once. They then learn the height and the mass. You see what is exactly in each. And then by the end, it shows you what 50 days would have looked like. It then measures, shows you, if you click data, it then puts it in a handy dandy graph for you. You can look at plant mass, plant height, bar or line graph. And then when students are done working through that, they would go to the bottom of the gizmo, and then there is an assessment. So you can literally do 50 days in one day. Your choice is to pick which lab you would like to do. Would it be the traditional lab or would it be the gizmo lab? Why you should care. Gizmos are designed to make lab experiments easily available to students. The dangers of regular labs are non-existent and allows for students to work more independently from their teacher to research their theories and hypotheses. This action research focused on looking to see if the Gizmos application suggested more independence from students than those who were not exposed to the technology. The research question is, can the incorporation of the Gizmo technology in science labs increase students' ability to work independently? The literature review. Technology in the classroom. Some things that we learned about technology in the classroom is that it has grown 445% worldwide in the last decade. It looked at tools that are incorporated in the classroom daily, and tools such as multimedia presentations, laptops, tablets, and social media are now a staple in everyday classrooms. In 2008, the United States provided $273 million worth of funding to secondary and high school schools to support the deployment and integration of educational technology into classroom instruction. Research suggested that technology in the classroom increased self-directed learning. Technology as a foundation of learning in the classroom is very important because it allows students to assume the role of problem solvers. Compared ratios of technology available to students and how more availability led to increase in student proficiency. So the more technology is in the classroom, the more students will be proficient in whatever they are learning through the technology. It benefits engagement, communication, and knowledge. It is believed that the use of technology was vital to be successful in the 21st century. As we know, we all have cell phones, tablets, iPads, computers. So if we're using them on a day-to-day basis outside of the classroom, why shouldn't we be incorporating them inside the classroom? Research encouraged the use of technology for a purpose, not just saying that one is using it. It connects technology to a blended learning format. So taking that technology and using it in your classroom for a purpose, not just to say, oh, yes, I use iPads, but what are they doing? How are they implementing it? How are they really learning from it? Blended learning connects to technology because it's teaching with a heavy implementation of technology use. Research showed positive measurement of student satisfaction, learning effectiveness, and faculty satisfaction of a blended learning classroom versus a traditional classroom. Research showed how incorporating technology has led to e-labs, which is you're doing a laboratory, but instead of doing it in an actual lab setting, you're doing it all virtually. Integration of modern sensors and instrumentation into Science Lab enables students to experience greater engagement with science through practical tools. So you investigate how e-tools develop inquiry-based learning skills and independence. So you take those learning skills and you see how it's really affecting them. Um, Research also showed that the discovery of e-labs and blended learning led to quicker and more effective labs that can be done from anywhere at any time. Gizmos is a online app used for generally math and science to help incorporate that blended learning and e-lab theory. The goal is to build understanding of basic concepts in math and science and at some time give students experience in the thought processes upon which math and science depend. With each middle level category, there are from 3 to 7 subcategories. For example, the 5 subcategories in life science deal with genetics, human body, human biology, cells, plants, ecology, and measurement. Each subcategory then has about a dozen gizmos. Some of the gizmos in cells and plants deal with cell structure, division, seed germination, and photosynthesis. So students can literally go on and find about 5 to 7 subcategories for whatever lesson that you want to teach. You may either find it and put it on for them, or they can go and research on their own. Research shows that teachers can still do the same types of labs, just in a quicker amount of time and at less of an expense. Gizmos enable teachers and students to quickly progress through many different concepts or scenarios in a single session, dramatically expanding the range of what can be shown, explained, and explored in the classroom. Classroom discussions become more interactive and responsive to students' specific interests and difficulties since their questions can be immediately examined and answered using manipulable visual models. Then, when students are studying on their own, gizmos let them become active and engaged learners rather than passive observers of sequences of images in a textbook. So students can literally go on, ask questions, and instead of worrying or not if they can try the lab or if it's too dangerous, they go on and they do it. They can try different trials, they can explore different things, and they can actually see the results of their theories. The methodology. The action research design focused on was Bachman's research model. It has a cyclical approach, and it gathered information, plans actions, observes, and evaluates those actions. So if you see, it follows a cyclical approach downward where you observe, you plan, you reflect, and then you repeat. The quantitative data collected was a collection and analysis of numerical data. So there was Block 3 and Block 8 of an International Baccalaureate or IB class. One class was the control group and one was the dependent group. There was a pre-test, a post-test, and a dependence checklist that helped with my design. The participants in the setting. The participants are 2 7th grade IB science classes at Talley Middle School in Wilmington, Delaware. Talley is a Tier 1 school. This is a convenient sample since I will be able to see these groups every other day. So on A days, I see my Block 3, and on B days, I see my Block 8. Block 3 will be my dependent group, so it has 24 students. So I will be implementing gizmos with them to see what their results are depending on how they use the Gizmos application. And then block 8 will be my control group, and there are 22 students in that class. They will not be getting Gizmos, so they will be getting the pre-test. I will be observing them, and they will be getting the post-test, and I will see if not applying Gizmos in a traditional setting will affect their independence at all. So some outliers or some important information. I have no ELL, IEP, or 504 students in either class. Students consist of both male and female. Races included are white, black, Indian, Asian, and Hispanic. The setting is in my classroom in Tally Middle School. There are 29 seats available to the students. It's set up in a lab table or small group setting, and there are 8 groups that make up the classroom. The school consists of grades 6 through 8, and they range from ELL to IB learners. Classes included at Tally are inclusion, grade level, honors, and IB. The age ranges from 11 to 15 years, and there are approximately 714 students in the entire school. For my data collection, I did a few things. First were tests. I had formative and summative. So my formative were quizzes, exit tickets, observations, and homework. And then my summative were my pre and post tests that were given to each school from the State of Delaware Science Coalition for their Properties of Matter science kit. So the test has been predetermined, and I will use that as a pre-test and then the post-test to see if using the implementation of Gizmos affects the students' completion and as well as their independence. I'll check their independence through checklists, and on the checklist there will be 5 categories. It'll say student name, question to the teacher, question to peer, request for help or approval during the work process, and then no contact or worked independently. So as I watch and observe my students working with the implementation or the non-implementation of Gizmos, I will check off next to the student's name whether they asked a question to me, a question to the peer, any request for help or approval, is this correct, am I doing the right thing, or whether they say nothing at all. I will then look at that data and see if there was a difference between my control group of the students that do not receive the Gizmo application or my dependent group or the students who do see the Gizmo application. When students fit into a specific category, I'll simply check and determine the data collection, and I will see if the implementation of Gizmos actually increases student independence. The conclusion is the action research was designed to investigate if the implementation of the Gizmo app in a classroom setting led to increased independence during class labs. The methodology of this research allowed for different IB classes to be studied for student independence or dependence when working with technology. Bachman's cyclical approach to the research allowed for the quantitative data to be collected, analyzed, and then redesigned for maximum results. Thank you.